Bonjour tout le monde, Madame Mayo here with a new grammar lesson from chapter 8. I'm just going to go to full page here for you. Okay, so we are talking today about interrogative and relative pronouns. And this is how we ask the question what in French. There are two ways. You're familiar with the word qu'est-ce que, you know that means what, but we also have qu'est-ce qui. So if you go back and you remember when we talked about the relative pronouns, qui and que before a verb, que before a noun, a subject noun, this is the same exact principle, okay? So it's not really much new. Qu'est-ce qui, qu'est-ce que, they're always going to start a question. All right, let's take a look. So, qu'est-ce qui becomes the subject of the question, and it's asking, what interests Luke? Don't be fooled by the qui. It doesn't mean who. And remember, qui before a verb, right? Qu'est-ce que Luc veut faire is asking the question, what does Luke want to do? And you can see the que here is before a subject and then a verb. So it's exactly like qui and que that we've done before. Qu'est-ce qui est arrivé? This is how you ask what happened. And again, the qui is before the verb, est arrivé, it is the subject. But qu'est-ce que becomes the object. Qu'est-ce qu'il a? What does he have? This que, we had to drop the e, replace it with an apostrophe because it's in front of il. We don't do that with qui ever, okay? Only with que. All right, so when we introduce an indirect question with what, we're going to use either ce qui or ce que, and these work just like qu'est-ce qui and qu'est-ce que, which work just like qui and que, okay? It's always going to be the same rule. So ce qui and ce que, you're going to find those in the middle of a sentence. These are relative pronouns, all right? The qu'est-ce qui, qu'est-ce que, those were interrogative pronouns, meaning that they ask a question. These, ce que, ce qui, are relative pronouns, meaning that they are connecting two clauses in a sentence. So let's look at ce qui, which is going to be the subject. Elle demande ce qui intéresse Luc. She asks what interests Luc. Elle demande ce que Luc veut faire. She asks what Luc wants to do. Okay. Il veut savoir ce qui se passe. He wants to know what is happening. Il veut savoir ce qu'il a. He wants to know what it is, or what he has, I should say, what he has. Okay, so ce qui, ce que, in the middle of the sentence. In a direct question, we use the interrogative pronoun. We say qu'est-ce qui se passe? That is a direct question. What's happening? We consider it indirect when we use the relative pronoun. Je ne sais pas ce qui se passe. I don't know what is happening. Okay? And then with ce que, qu'est-ce que Luc a dit? What did Luc say? Versus an indirect question, je ne sais pas ce que Luc a dit. I don't know what Luc said. All right? Just two different ways, really, to express the same idea when you're asking what is happening, or you could say, I don't know what is happening. They're both kind of questions, like they're both saying you don't know what's happening. All right, and just remember, the subject is qu'est-ce qui, the object is qu'est-ce que, and ce qui and ce que work just like qu'est-ce qui and qu'est-ce que, and they all work just like the relative pronouns qui and que that we've done before. All right, so here's our rule. Ce qui is usually followed by a verb, and ce que is usually followed by a subject and a verb, and that is our big rule right there. That's what we learned when we first learned the relative pronouns qui and que. So let's see if we can do some. The anesthesiast does. So we're going to say, what does the anesthesiologist do? That's what we want to ask. What does the anesthesiologist do? So this here, that's a subject and that's a verb. So do I want Qu'est-ce qui, qu'est-ce que, ce qui, or ce que? Well, it's the beginning of the question, so I know it's either going to be qu'est-ce qui or qu'est-ce que. I have a subject here, so I'm going to use qu'est-ce que. Qu'est-ce que l'anesthésiste fait? What does the anesthesiologist do? Que before a subject and a verb. Qu'est-ce que to start the question. Leia, what happened when you arrived at the emergency room? So here we have s'est passé. That's a verb, my friends, and there's no subject there. This is a reflexive pronoun, so don't let that confuse you. So if that's a verb, what do I want to use? Now, this is also beginning the sentence. This is not relative. We're not connecting to different clauses. So it's going to be qu'est-ce qui or qu'est-ce que. And since I'm right in front of the verb, I'm going to use qu'est-ce qui. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? What happened? With me so far, I hope. All right, let's try some more. Elle ne comprend pas. She doesn't understand. And now we're going to say what happened. So we have two separate clauses. I've got to use a relative pronoun in the middle here to connect them. Here I have the verb s'est passé. There's no subject. So I'm going to use ce qui. Elle ne comprend pas ce qui s'est passé. She doesn't understand what happened. Tu sais, le médecin a décidé de faire. You know what the doctor decided to do? Okay, so now I need a relative pronoun to join these two clauses. It's going to be ce que or ce qui. I have a subject here, le médecin, followed by a verb, so I'm going to use ce que. Tu sais ce que le médecin a décidé de faire? You know what the doctor decided to do? Let's try one more. All right, here is a little bit of a different situation because it looks different because we've got the beginning here, so you're thinking qu'est-ce qui, qu'est-ce que. But actually what we're doing is we're making a statement, we're not asking a question. So in this instance, we can use ce qui or ce que in the beginning. What we're going to say is, what makes me happy? It is to hear that my wound isn't serious. So the big question is it going to be ce qui or ce que? This me is a direct object pronoun, indirect object pronoun. So don't let that fool you. It's not a subject. There's my verb. So I'm going to use ce qui. Ce qui me fait content, c'est d'entendre que ma blessure n'est pas grave. And that is it. So you can watch this video as many times as you like and use it, obviously, these notes to help you answer the exercises in the workbook. Merci mes amis.